let us analyze in ZvZ when to sacrifice a natural hatchery to an early Speedling attack. Apotheosis is a map that is unique in its distance from one player to the other. In ZvZ, the first overlords go out on the map, they venture forward, but they will not scout the opponent's natural expansion in time for you to react to it with a difference in build order. I open with Hatch Gas Pool, which is the most standard of all macro openers. The opponent opens with Gas Pool and no hatch for quite a long time. So they'll be able to take map control with an early Ling Speed, pull off of gas so they can get their economy up and running in order to be able to afford an expansion and kind of get into a macro game with what they hope to be a larva advantage and then later an economy advantage. I have no indication that this is going to be an early Speedling attack until the Lings are at my natural expansion. So let's think about this situation as the Lings arrive. Lings arrive at the Hatch First player's base. A queen is being built. There's one drone here. I made 4 Lings as soon as my pool finished, just to be safe and have something that can sort of keep the opponent off my drones, at least. But I have 20 drones here to the opponent's 13. They have 1 queen out, so their base is already going to be injected. That first inject cycle they can spend again into Speedlings, and then they're taking this gold base. As a general principle, and Warren is doing this correctly, if you're going to go for a hyper-aggressive opening, your follow-up should either be aggressive or greedy. If you play aggressive into safe, you just fall behind. So this is a way of continuing to make big moves in the match to shape the game in a very clear fashion. So this gold base nets more resource per drone than a blue base. So my goal here is to protect my main advantage, which is drone count. I don't want to overreact to this. If I pull workers down to this expansion, they're going to get picked off by the Speedlings and the new Speedlings that are arriving from across the map. So I'm letting this queen finish, and I'm just going to run this to a little nook where I'm blocking some surface area to the queen, and the queen can trade itself out in a cost-efficient manner. Why not inject this base? This base is about to die anyway. I won't have Ling Speed for quite a long time, so I'm not going to be able to save this. This base is basically the tank that's protecting my drone lead. So I'm totally okay with this being focused down. I don't expect to get any more larvae from it than what's already on the ground. So I'm just letting this queen fight in a little corridor where it'll take half the damage from the Lings than it would if it were totally surrounded. Ling Speed is finishing up. One thing that I think is fairly important, if you're going to sacrifice your expansion, you don't want to go Bane Nest before speed, because then the opponent has map control for such a tremendous amount of time that they can drone freely and you won't be able to bring some aggression to their side of the map for several minutes. So I'm just controlling this ramp with slow Lings, and then I'm going to pull this queen over to the edge. In this interaction, Lings versus Lings, neither unit has upgrades. If they're sort of trading evenly, this queen is going to turn the tide where I will get the slightly more favorable trade. One thing that I don't really have to worry about with vision that the opponent took an expansion is Banelings for quite a long time. In order for them to afford lots of Speedlings and a fairly early gold expansion, they have to pull off gas. So I'm just trying to stabilize with some Lings. My speed kicks in, and my Speedlings go out on the map. One thing that the opponent could do is they could put their Speedlings kind of off to the side, and then as soon as their Overlord sees you leaving the base, they dart in. So these Banes are keeping me safe against that. I'm going to take my expansion as soon as I can. Banes will help secure this location. And now I'm just massing Ling Bane. If you look at my bank, I had quite a bit of gas. I decided to spend all the gas that I could into Banelings. My 2 advantages this match were drones, and then also gas, total gas income. The opponent took Ling Speed earlier, but I had 3 workers on gas for a long time. So by morphing a bunch of Banes aggressively, I'm basically leveraging that advantage that I created early on by going for a very economical opener to sort of punish this greedy transition. So I'm dividing my forces. I send 1 Ling forward so I don't die to Banes. I have a few Lings that are rallied to focus fire drones. This would be more advanced micro techniques. For most levels of play, just putting some Lings in one base, putting some Lings in one base, and then keeping up your injects will be the priority. But if you notice, this queen is placed well between the hatch and the pool. So if you have your Lings just attack into the base, a lot of them won't participate. So I just split some off to focus drones. And then one of the disadvantages of taking this gold is you have multiple avenues into your base for potential aggression. So the attacker can come up to this high ground and then attack down into you. They could also come up this ramp or over here from this left side. So that's part of the risk of taking a gold natural expansion, is you have an additional attack lane to account for. If the opponent took the blue base, there's only one kind of wide main lane where attacks can come in. So it's a little bit easier to organize your defenses. So here I'm just making Ling Bane with a higher drone count than the opponent. I also have a higher queen count now, after having sniped both of them, so my larva income is going to be greater. And this is one of those situations where it's totally acceptable to just keep making Ling Bane. My base isn't done yet, so if I made drones, they wouldn't be able to mine until it's finished. I have optimal saturation in my main. I pulled 1 worker off of gas because I want to be making slightly more Lings than Banes. I made an extra queen, so these 2 queens and these 2 Banes are keeping this expansion pretty safe against counterattacks. Just having some resting defense really simplifies the micro scenarios and allows you to do tricks like this, where you retreat with fewer Lings, the opponent gets excited, they think, I'm going to win this Ling battle, and then you move some Banelings forward into them. So I'm just gradually kind of trying to take favorable trades, continue to split off units. So I did a video recently on using the steal commands. I just stole some Lings, 12 Lings, to a separate group that are going up and to the left into the opponent's base. That also allows me to push in this main lane and to focus more on this micro here. These units, I don't really need to focus on them too much. It's purely Lings and it's not that many, so if they were to die to Banes, it wouldn't be that big of a loss. I pulled off 2 Lings that were in this particular battle down to the edge of this base, and I'll morph some more Banes. It's very frantic in Ling Bane Wars, dealing with the attack here, dealing with the attack here, trying to make units with your larva, trying to make queens. Often a player will lose track of a couple Lings that just get pulled off, and these can have a really big impact on the opponent because they will strike when they don't really expect a big threat to be in their base. So just keeping the bases injected, keeping up the aggression with Ling Bane, and now I'm starting to mix in drones again, because I have a stable defense, and I've done a lot of crippling damage. And these 2 Banes basically finish things off, bring the worker count very, very low, and then just having resting safety Bane defense to prevent them from pushing into you. Don't be upset when you lose your natural to early Speedlings. It was all part of the plan.